who would make up your entertainment dream team?
Well, if you're an artist, your entertainment dream team should consist of obviously a good manager, first and foremost, a good entertainment lawyer, like you can always reach out to me, right? A business manager at some point, and you probably also want to make sure that you have an agent who will help you get opportunities and jobs and touring opportunities. But now you got to add a couple more people to that team. One, you need a social media manager or someone who's very well versed in social media, understanding how to build a fan base online using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Your entire social media presence.
Social media is very, very important now. A videographer, because YouTube is very important. You want a videographer that's out here, basically videotaping basically your life at this point. And possibly also a PR person to kind of help you get some offline publicity. Because at the end of the day, it's about really building your fan base, right? These days, record labels don't want to spend the time and the money to develop the artist. And they don't want to take the risk anymore of signing artists just on the strength of, oh, I like the music. Because unfortunately, pre-Napster, 9 out of 10 artists would fail. There's that one artist that would be successful, that would make enough money to, sustain the record label. Those days are over. So now it's incumbent upon the artist and their team to build up a fan base so that the record labels will be attracted enough to come and say, hey, let's partner up, let's do a deal.
It seems as though social media impact is more important than pure talent.
To some degree, I'd say it's equal. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to be talented in your craft, whatever you're doing, right? Whether you're a rapper, singer, musician, you want to put in your quote unquote 10,000 hours to develop an expertise. But social media will give you the advantage of building a fan base. The more fans you have that really like what you're doing, that buy into, your music, your product, your brand, so to speak, the better off it is for you. And to the extent that you want to get a record deal, will make the record labels be more attractive to you and be willing to make the monetary investments that they need to make to help take your career to the next level.
Once you get signed to the label, whose responsibility is it to maintain your social media presence?
That's a really good question. I recently had a client that came in here, had gotten a record deal by virtue of the fact that he and his team were really, really prolific with respect to their social media. They were doing the things they needed to do to maintain their fan base. Then they got the record deal. And yes, the record labels will do a lot of social media, some of the lifting also. They've got websites, they'll help you build a website, they'll continue to help market and promote it. But he stopped doing he and his team stopped doing what they were doing before they got the deal. They relied too heavily on the record label. My advice to clients is that you just have to still maintain your hustle, your grind, continue to your work ethic even after you get a record deal. Because at the end of the day, if anything, you're just adding on to what they're doing. But to the extent that they're priorities, you get signed to a record label, all of a sudden you're no longer a priority, or they're on to the next artist. You want to maintain, your fan base and keep growing it.
So this next type of deal I heard about after Jay-Z got one, but maybe you can give us a deeper insight into it. Explain what a 360 deal is.
360 agreement. A 360 deal is like I call it the new boogeyman in some respects. I mean, it's been around now for about the past 5-6 years. And basically, because of the changing economics of the record business, remember, prior to Napster, record labels made their money selling CDs. Once Napster came along and the consumer could now say, oh, you know what, we don't want to buy the CD, we want to, in essence, steal this one song that we really like, CD sales, diminished, and they're continuing to diminish, right? So record labels were like, wow, this profit center is no longer here for us. So, but we're spending millions and millions of dollars, advertising and marketing these artists who then turn around and they go do live performances and then do these mega tours. They're selling merchandise. They end up, creating clothing lines of their own and selling it. Or they're on TV or they're in Hollywood and they're making great movies and they're making millions and millions of dollars and like, hey, where's our piece of this, right? So The 360 agreement is a deal where the record labels now are getting a percentage of what we call your ancillary income, or your non-record related income that they traditionally did not ever have a piece of. And again, their rationale is, hey, you know what? But for the fact that we spent, all this money to market and promote you, why would Martin Scorsese want you in a movie? Or, who would want to go buy your clothing line, whether it's Sean John or Rockaware or anything like this. And they'll want a percentage anywhere from 10 to 20% of, and it's negotiable, but 10 to 20% of the money that you're making in all these various other income streams.
What are they providing? I mean, they want the 360 deal, but what are they offering?
Everything is negotiable, and it depends on how much leverage the artist has coming into the deal. For example, Drake, from what I understand, doesn't have a 360 deal. He just has a straight record deal. And the reason why was because, he had released this record, Best You Ever Had. It was already on the radio, it was already selling, and he had a major bidding war. When you have a major bidding war, which means that more than one record label is interested in you, you are now in a leveraged position where your attorney and your managers can negotiate a great deal that a typical other artist can't get. But to the extent that you are stuck in a 360 agreement, some labels will give you an upfront advance for each sort of income stream that they want to take they want a percentage of. Some record labels, like Atlantic, will give you some assistance and it will help you because their attitude is, well, we're getting something out of it, so we'll help you get these opportunities and use our considerable power to open up other avenues for you to make money. Whereas other record labels are like, listen, we're just going to be passive participants. You're just going to give us just because.
Right.
So again, every label is different. It's also a function of the leverage you have as an artist coming in.
Jay-Z, of course, having tremendous leverage, he can get a lot of benefits from a deal like this. And
he did the type of deal he did was a major deal with a company called Live Nation. Where they gave him a lot of money up front. In return, they wanted a piece of all of his revenue streams. I mean, if you remember, before he did that deal with Live Nation, which was a few years ago, Jay-Z didn't really tour that much. He didn't really perform and he didn't do a lot of live performances. But ever since he did that deal, how many times has he been in Brooklyn? How many times has he been in New York? It's like, okay.
Well, it helps that he owns a piece of Barclay. Does he still own a piece of Barclay?
No,
he sold that, right?
He had to sell that.
So he could be an agent.
That's correct. And so what happens is, he's got to pay that money back. They gave him up front a large sum of money, and he's got to kind of repay it back.
Right.
So he's got to perform and do all the things that he didn't really do a lot of in the past.